All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another live stream. All right, so today's gonna be a little bit different. Different in the sense that we're actually not gonna be doing anything with artificial intelligence or machine learning today. In fact, this topic might seem kind of random, especially given the last couple streams we have focused specifically on work aligning to generative AI. So we've covered things recently like interacting with the OpenAI API, interact with Dolly, building LangChain applications, building radio applications. So you might be wondering, well, why are we doing this of all things? So if you read the description in the like whatever the description for this video, it's basically the idea that we're teeing ourselves up for a series of live streams that I've been working on for, like the content I've been working on for a while. In fact, I intend to have this full blog series and around this whole topic. So it's just taken me a while, and I'm a little bit slow on this. But so, and that whole series is around going to be around vector search for generative AI. So I don't want to cover that too much today, just because I know we're going to cover that so much in future streams. But basically, what I need in order to do that is some testing data. Or at least some data that I can play around with. And it needs to be unstructured text, preferably real unstructured text. And when I mean real unstructured text, I mean like stuff that actually represents something. So, I could just generate random words, but I want to find something that's actually meaningful. And so Wikipedia is going to be the best place to do that for two reasons. The first one's pretty obvious, and that is, Wikipedia is obviously being updated all the time. It probably will be updated all the time, and I don't see Wikipedia going away anytime soon. And then the other big reason, and this is something that I've been particularly conscious about, especially as I post to publications like Toward Data Science. So they are appropriately very careful about data usage. And I think that's a good practice anyway. So so if I've recently become more and more acclimated to this space as well around licensing and data usage. Just as like things like Llama that came out this week, like or Llama 2, I should say. Llama 2 or Llama 1. Part of I was a little bit critical about Llama 1 in the sense that like Meta kept calling it open source, and I guess it was open source, but they didn't have a commercial license associated to it. And then, so it's like, well, if there's no commercial license associated to it, like most companies don't have the luxury of spending the time to play around with something that they can't get a return on. And so when they launched Llama 2 with these updated agreements, like that was a big win for the entire industry, in my opinion. And we might do something with Llama 2. I haven't gotten that far yet. So so with Wikipedia, it is like the data under Wikipedia is covered by a Creative Commons license with attribution. And so basically that means that we are allowed to use the data as long as we are making note appropriately of where it's coming from. Now, for our purposes, I don't know how much this necessarily matters, because our purposes, we're just going to be using it for fun. We're not using this data for any commercial use or anything like that. It's just going to be, I need this for the next set of live streams. And unfortunately, this is one of those topics that was just long enough that it needed its own live stream, and just short enough that... Or just long enough that I couldn't cram it into another live stream, but just short enough that today's live stream probably won't be super long. So let's go ahead and jump into things. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Where's that button? There we go. Okay, so what we are going to be doing. Well, actually, let's step back for a second. All right, you might be wondering why we are looking at this page of all pages. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be collecting the reviews on Wikipedia for every single video game in 2023. And the reason I wanted to do this, like the video game part is arbitrary, but just a very tiny preview into why we need 2023 information is because if you're aware, ChatGPT was trained on data up to September 2021, and even though the open source large language models for GPT-4, like they're still using data that's probably at least a year old. So I want to get something that was from this year for sure. So if you're not aware, this was a little bit new to me. Wikipedia has like these categories of pages. So you can see on this category page here, 2023 video games, that it's got a bunch of different video games that link off to like the individual wiki pages. And so that's what we were starting to look at with this one here. So if you're a gamer like I am, you will know that most video game Wikipedia pages are generally structured the same in the sense of they have the same headings and stuff. So there's usually always a gameplay section, almost always a plot section, almost always a development section, and almost always a reception section. Now sometimes there's more than this. Like if like there's any controversies around the game, or if there's anything specifically notable about the game, then there might be something additional. But generally speaking, this is what you get for a video game page on Wikipedia. And of course, I'm selecting The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom because that is the game that I have been super obsessed with recently. However, Pikmin 4 did come out today, and I did play it before work, and I gotta say, I'm having a lot of fun with that. But I have put almost 225 hours into this game right here. So what we're going to be doing is, just to start like a little bit more simply, is we're going to show how we can extract the text off of this particular page right here. Specifically, we want this portion of text in the reception section. And there's going to be some oddities around there. And then so after we do the single page, then we're going to show how we can get every single page from here, like appropriately. So if you are not aware, and I was not aware of this either, let me see if I can Google this really quick. MediaWiki. Okay, so MediaWiki, I don't know what the association of MediaWiki is to Wikipedia, but basically there's some sort of association that basically, like, I don't know if MediaWiki owns Wikipedia or whatnot, but there's something here that basically anytime you want to reference like the API information for Wikipedia, it's generally references as MediaWiki. And I bring that up for, you'll see why. So just want to call that out really quick. I was not aware of that, and so maybe you learned something new about that today too. Oh, I forgot to mention. So you might be wondering why we're starting an hour early. So we are starting 1 hour early today because I am going to see Oppenheimer after this, and I wanted to make sure I had enough time. I'm actually not going until like 4:30. So we probably could have done this stream at 2. I just wanted to be careful and just allow myself enough time. But yeah, so that's why we're a little bit early today. Okay. All right. So, so there is here. Let me try to see if there's a way. Like there's information around the Wikipedia API. Okay, so this is on the Wikipedia. All right, so this is a little bit more information about the baseline Wikipedia API. So you can see here, this is how you might interact with it if you were to do it like just use like the Python request library or try to hit this endpoint directly. The challenge that I've found with trying to get this data, at least in the Python form, is usually there's like a one-size-fits-all API clients sort of thing. So like if you think about like OpenAI, like they obviously developed their own Python client, and that's the one that we've been using, and so that's the official one, and that's the one that's supported well. So there unfortunately is no official Wikipedia client, and in fact, so if you've used LangChain, or if you recall when we used LangChain, we actually did use Wikipedia behind that. But what that one is doing, so just this is going to be a little bit of a lesson for you if you don't know PyPy super well. So PyPy, this is the Python package index. That's what PyPy stands for. So Py being the first 2 letters of Python, and then PI being package index PyPy. So you can search. This is where anybody can basically have their metadata out here, so we can know how to install packages appropriately. So most people that reference the Wikipedia Python client do so by doing a pip install of Wikipedia of this first one here. Now I want you to notice something here. So these dates on the right are when it was last updated. So this wrapper, or this API client wrapper here, which was just created by some individual, and I'm not faulting this individual at all, but it was last updated almost a decade ago. And that is why I'm not going to use it. And I actually did try to use it, to be transparent, but I had some issues, and I'm not really surprised. When things get this old, then things tend to break. And it's actually not like, I actually think whoever created this, it wouldn't take them that long to like repair the issues associated to it. But this is the one that I keep seeing people use, and I don't really understand why people use it, just because it is so outdated. And again, I'm not trying to brag on this person. It's just that they, I don't know, they just use it. And so that's why I'm not going to use it. So I think they did a great job for the time, and it's actually had good longevity, of course. But it's due up for an update. And so even if you do things like, Python, Wikipedia, Python Wikipedia, just if you do that, then you go to it like a very notable website like Geeks for Geeks. Geeks for Geeks is using this one. Why? So this is the one that they're using. And so I tried to get this one working. I could not get it working. I tried to use it. There also is another recommendation on here to use the straight, I think it was on this page, but maybe not. There was another page on Geeks for Geeks that I found that would actually use the request library just to use the straight API calls from here. But it wasn't that great. Basically, what I was trying to do was I was trying not to copy OpenAI's homework, because OpenAI actually does have a way to do this. And so let me go ahead and just show it to you. So this is actually in the OpenAI cookbook, and this is them actually getting information from Wikipedia, specifically articles from the 2022 Winter Olympics, and then this is all their code. So I tried not to copy their homework, but to be completely honest, at the end of the day, I did. Well, kind of. So what I basically discovered is that these Python clients they're using, this MW client and this MW parser from that it is what it is. It's the MW parser from hell. I don't know why it's called that. So these two, and specifically, recall again, this is why I brought up we are actually interacting with MediaWiki here. That's what the MW stands for. And so I don't know who created these clients. Again, these are not official Wikipedia clients as far as I can tell, but they work really, really well for our purposes. So mine is a little bit, what we're going to be doing today is going to be more simplistic than what OpenAI did, but it's pretty straightforward after, the first time you look at it, it's a little bit, I don't want to say clunky, but it's hard to understand what's going on here. But basically what it's doing is it is taking one of these categories. So it's they're using the category 2022 Winter Olympics, and it's basically iterating over every single one of these pages and doing like a recursive thing, because you can actually have categories of categories. I don't know if there's any categories. Okay, there is one category of categories here, so you could see that if we were to toggle this open, then it'd display all those as well. So what they're basically doing is they're just doing like this recursive flow throughout here to extract the text from every single one of these sections. Like I said, I want to kind of keep ours a little bit more simplistic. So instead of grabbing the full text from this page, we are just going to grab this section here. Now, I do want to call out one thing that while we're looking at this page, notice over here that we had this box over here that actually has the respective review scores for each of the gaming websites and whatnot. This is what we would call like an info box, I guess, or perhaps this is not the info box. I know for sure this one up here is called the info box. I don't know if you'd just call this a straight table, but basically this is being represented in code, and we don't really care to see this. So when we get the text back, you will see that we will have this in here, but we need to figure out a way to get that out of there, and there is fortunately a pretty clean way to get that out. Okay, so let's start off. Let's go ahead and what do I want to do? I want to make sure I'm setting the table correctly. Okay, so the first two things that we're going to need to do, if you don't have them installed already, so like I mentioned, we will be making use of this MW client, MW parser from Helm. So if you don't have those installed, it's as simple as doing the pip install. So pip 3 install MW parser from Helm. So I've obviously already done this, so it's already good to go. And then you would also do the same thing for the other one. Pip install MW client. And then again, I'm already good to go here as well. All right, so now we have a fresh Jupyter notebook. Again, I use VS Code's Jupyter client, so even though this looks a little bit funky, this is indeed a Jupyter notebook. I love that. Let me tell you, I cannot get enough of this client. Like, I love, I don't know why I was so on the fence about VS Code forever, but this little extension alone, because it's free and looks so nice, like this, oh my gosh, I will never go back to IntelliJ. So I have no problems with IntelliJ per se. Obviously, I use it for years, but I really, really love this Jupyter extension in here. Okay, so what we need to do is we only need 3 libraries for this. So what we're going to be doing is For the later live streams, I'm going to need all this information in a CSV file. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get all of our text back, or all of our review text per each video game there. And we need to, I'm gonna jam it to a pandas data frame, and that way we can just simply export that pandas data frame. So we only need 3 libraries for this little project that we're gonna be doing today. So you're probably familiar with pandas already. Import pandas as PD. Okay, and then I'm gonna do import MW client. Again, that stands for media wiki client. And import the MW parser from hell. All right. Again, I have no idea why it's called that. I'm very curious to hear the story behind that, though. All right, so that's step 1. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the steps that we're going to be doing to actually let's just talk through this verbally, like what we're going to be doing here. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do, just like any other API client, is we need to instantiate the client. So we're going to instantiate the client. And actually, this wiki library is actually set up to work for any wiki site that is structured like Wikipedia. So this is not exclusively a Wikipedia client. If you have a wiki page that is structured like Wikipedia, it's designed for that. And the reason I bring that up is because whenever you instantiate the client, we do have to put Wikipedia in there particularly. And so you might be wondering, well, why do we have to put that in there if this is a Wikipedia thing? Well, it's because it's not exclusively to Wikipedia. So that's why we have to instantiate the client with the wiki title here. Okay, so we're going to instantiate that. And then we need to pass in the name of the article into that client, and that's going to basically give back the entire HTML, the entire HTML of the page. However, it will be parsed into like respective parts, so we don't necessarily have to see all that. Like we're not going to be using Beautiful Soup or anything like that to actually comb through the HTML or anything like that. Again, this library kind of abstracts away at most of that. So that's part. That's what number. All right, that's that part. So after we get that full HTML from the page, then we need to extract the text from the page, and that is when we are at the point when the MW parser from hell is going to come into play, as it is going to parse this whole page into the respective sections. Now, like I mentioned, so we want to get reception pages, and the other thing I want to call out here is, so what is today? July 21. So obviously we got like roughly half the year left. Not all these games have come out yet. So obviously some of these Wikipedia pages are not going to have the reception section, which is okay. So what we can do here is we can actually just extract, using the MW parser from hell, we can extract out the names of the headings, and then we can search to see is there one called reception, and if not, just keep going on, and we'll just skip past it and move on. So that's that, and then we will retrieve that specific section if this section is here, and then we'll do some extra cleaning. So I don't know why I felt the need to kind of lay out before, because we're going to cover all these steps in code here right now. So like I said, so for step number 1, we need to instantiate the Wikipedia client. So Wikipedia client equals MW client dot site and wikipedia.org. All right, so we have made the connection over to Wikipedia. Now, like I said, we are going to be getting the text from the page of Wikipedia, or from the Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. All right, so what we need to do here then is we're going to do a Wikipedia client dot pages, and then we pass in the string of the name of the thing that we are looking for. So Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Hold on a second, folks. I'm going to turn on my fan because I am hot in my office right now. All right, sorry about that. It got hot in here. Okay, so, and then to actually extract the text from the body of the page, all we have to do is do a dot text. And let's save this as a variable. Let's call this wiki text. All right, so let's just go ahead and look at it just to see what this gave us. All right, so basically this gave us I don't know, here, let's look at the type first. So it gave us back a long string, but I don't know if this is actually a string or if this is some other data type. Type wiki text. Okay, so this is just one giant string here. So this is where the MW parser from hell is going to come into handy. Just a giant string. We need to get just the pieces that we need out of here. This is really, really long. This is the full page here, basically. All right, so let's go ahead and parse this out. So the way that we parse this out, I'm going to call this parsed wiki text equals MW parser from hell dot parse, and then we're going to pass in our wiki text. All right. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this. Parsed wiki text. All right, so that doesn't look any different, but it is actually different. So if we actually check the type now, you will see that this is like one of the objects as part of this library here. And so actually, part of the reason this is important is because we can actually do certain operations on this now. So let's say that I just wanted to get the headings from out of here. So section headings equals. This is going to have a list of things, but we want, and they're going to be each of their own objects, but I want to turn them into strings. So for string heading in, here, let me scroll down a little bit. Parsed wiki text dot filter heading. So this is the special command that we use just to filter out the headings. Filter headings. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Second headings. Okay, so you can see here, these are all the section headings on the Zelda Wikipedia page. Now, just so you're aware, because you might be wondering what's up with these equal signs. The equal signs apparently represent, so like if you're familiar with Markdown, we use different, like the pound sign or the hashtag sign, if you want to call it, to do headings. Apparently they're using equal signs, because if you notice, like under reception here, that you see the sales and accolades, and you can, if we come back to the actual Wikipedia page, it's like a subsection of this section called sales and accolades. So that's why we have the equal signs around it. So like I said, the first thing that we want to do before we even proceed forward, just for computation's sake, is making sure that just the text is there. Because if the text is not there, then it's not, or I'm sorry, if the reception is there. Because if the reception is not here, it's not worth continuing on. And that's just like a computational efficiency kind of thing. So you can see here on this, on the category page, just skipping ahead for a little bit. So we see 160 pages here. Why the heck is Grimace's birthday? What? All right, sorry, I just got distracted. Who did this? McDonald's actually... No, I did not know that. I mean, I've seen that. I'm not going to have that shake. That shake looks sketchy. Like, it looks gross, like, honestly. But I don't know. I've sorry, I just got thrown off there. I don't even remember what I was talking about now. So, oh yeah, there's 160 pages here. So you can imagine this is going to take a little bit of time. It's actually not too terribly bad. It's going to take, in my experience, it takes about 40 to 45 seconds to run through all of these. But obviously, we're just doing the single page right now, the single Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom page. So that's the only one we're going to concern ourselves with. But we'll show how to programmatically get them all and dump them into a pandas data frame here shortly. All right, so that's the section headings. Now, if we wanted to get like just the sections themselves, you can imagine that we would just do parse wiki text. You could probably guess, get sections. Okay, now we can do a thing where we can actually define which level, like what level we actually want to get of the section. So if we do a levels equals 2, then that will just give us the ones that have like the 2 equal signs here. So if you notice here, like sales and accolades are gone. And so this is just like the parse wiki text. And then, so actually, you could probably see where this is going. Like this is, the first time I did this, which was yesterday, the first time I did this, like it was a little bit confusing to read through OpenAI's code, just because not because they did anything wrong, just because like they don't, because they're doing a little bit like recursion and stuff in here. Like that was a little bit confusing to me, but actually interacting with this API, like once you know what you're doing, is very simple. So I feel like we're already pretty much there. Like we're almost done. Like all right, so let me show you what we need to do here. So if so the reception section, all right, so all sections, All right, hold on. I want to make sure that I'm reading this correctly. All right, so I was just reading my notes here. So I'm going to call this all sections. So let's just call this all sections. So this is all of our sections of stuff. I do want to note here, though, so each of these things, well, never mind. I'm just getting ahead of myself. So what we want to do is we want to iterate through the sections. For section and all sections, if oh yeah, that is what I want to call out. So let me just make a new cell here. All right, so the data type of each of these things, and just let's look at what's in all sections once again. They look like this looks like a list of strings. These are not strings, and this is the thing that I was started to mention to be careful about. So they appear to be strings, and you can convert them to strings. But if we just like grab the first value here, it's actually still this Wikicode object. So that's why we do need to cast it into a string. So we're going to take if string section equals dot starts with, because recall these section here, let me just show this once again. All sections, if I can type. All right, so you could see that all these start with the heading title. So we're just looking for the one here that starts with this. So starts with all right, equals reception equals. Ooh, talk about bad spelling. Reception. All right, so if it begins with reception, then we're gonna say reception section equals section. All right, so let's look at this reception section. All right, so this is just the text coming back to our Wikipedia page here. So this is just this text. So you can see, just to prove it out, according to review aggregator Metacritic, Tears of the Kingdom received a universal claim. Now if we scroll along the side, recall here that we still have all this okay, so actually, yeah, like I'm gonna have ahead of myself a little bit here. So you'll notice here that coming back to here, how we have this box here. So that's what this all is doing here. So you can see the MC here represents Metacritic, and you know, it's just showing like the URLs and stuff. This is stuff we don't need. And so you might be wondering, well, how do we get it out of there? And unfortunately, the easiest way to do this is just going .section with our .section object. We can do .strip code. And now we just have the text. Now you can, we're not going to take this any further from here. If you wanted to strip out things like, this word reception or the new line characters, you can. And I might actually do that later. I'm just not going to do it in the stream today because that's, that's stuff you're probably already familiar with. That's kind of easy stuff. But that is basically it. Like, that is how we are going to retrieve our information from Wikipedia. And we're just going to basically keep iterating over these things and adding them to this collective list and then turning it into a pandas data frame. So the only difference here is, so, between getting a single page versus getting the actual, like the full categories of stuff is, so you could see here where we actually just passed in this page, we will actually just pass in this full category and it will give us back a list of stuff. So let's actually do that. Let's go ahead and show you. Let's move on to the next section. In fact, I'm going to make just a couple new cells so we don't lose ourselves here. I am going to reinstantiate the client, even though it doesn't matter. It is the same client. So Wikipedia client equals mw client dot site and wikipedia.org. Okay. And then we want to get a list of all our games. So I'm going to call this all games equals Wikipedia client dot pages, and then we are going to pass in the name of this page right here, which is called this. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it right here, and I'm going to go ahead and run this. Now let's go ahead and look what's inside here. If it was going to let me. All right, so for game and all games, print game. I don't know why it didn't show me all of the stuff anyway, but all right, so here we go. So this is every single page that we can see here, and you can see that we have most of these are page objects. Now note that there is at the very bottom here one of these category objects, and you can see here this actually correlates to what I was talking about earlier. This is the upcoming games here, and I'm not going to worry about this, and Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about that. But I'm actually wondering, do some of these pages not have reception text on them? That one did. How about this one? That one did. I only had like 50 that showed up here a little bit earlier. Oh, I think I know what's going on. There's probably a bug, but I'm not going to worry about it for now. Okay, so all right, so yeah, so what we need to do here is we don't really care about this piece here. So basically we want to iterate over every single one of these things here in this list only if it is a page object. So what we're going to do here is, well, first things first, we need to we're going to instantiate a list. This list here is going to hold an array of arrays. So we're just going to instantiate it as an empty array, and then we're going to just keep adding new arrays with 2 values associated. And the first value is going to be the name of the game, and the second value is going to be the review text. All right, so that's that. Now let's iterate for game in all games. So like I said, we need to check to make sure that this is of the appropriate data type. So what we need to do is if type game equals. So this is what the data type is. So mw client dot page. All right, I'm going to pause here for a second. So that's really all you need to know for this. Now, the one thing I do want to call out that OpenAI does that's in their notebook that's a little bit more like programmatic is like they would actually look at this category and do a recursion thing to actually get all the nested categories in here. And so that was hard for me to read at first, but then it makes sense. So what they're doing here, they define 2 functions. So this function here is first getting the pages from like the top level, if you will, and then you can see down in here that this will continue to iterate through all the subsections of that section using this function above with some recursion here. So you can even see here from this function, which is called all subsections from section, that they are even calling it within here. Yeah, and then they're doing some extra stuff here that I'm not going to worry about too much. But so if you did want to do this thing where you actually got on a category page like this, and you didn't just want these the pages themselves, but you wanted everything that was under here, so you can do that. I'm just being lazy. All right, and okay, so all right, Dave the Diver. Okay, all right, so yeah. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to go back to our Jupyter Notebook here. So we got this whole list here. We're going to iterate over all of them. So if we have this, now it's just basically like iterating, doing the exact same thing that we did from above. Well, I guess there is one other thing. So we did this. The game here, if you recall, is this object type. In order to call the client again to actually get the page text, you need the string name of that value. So we're just going to call this game name. So game name equals game dot name. Okay, yeah, so simple enough. All right, now let's get the wiki text. Wiki text equals Wikipedia client dot pages. All right, and we're gonna pass in the game name dot text. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm kind of being lazy with my annotations, even though I'm really good with annotations, is because I actually do have another full notebook that I already did, and this is already up on my GitHub. So if you want a fully annotated version of what we're doing along with markdown cells and everything, go look at that. But just for my purposes right now, I'm not going to worry about that just for time's sake. All right, so we need the wiki text. All right, we need the parsed wiki text equals mw parser from hell dot parse wiki text. Oops, I'm sorry. Autofilled that incorrectly. All right, so then we need the section heading. So section headings equals string heading for heading in parsed wiki text dot filter headings. So again, we're not doing anything new from what we've already done before. At this point, we are just, I could copy and paste all this if I wanted to. So if honestly, the only reason I am typing this out right now is because we're almost done, and this feels like so short of a stream that I feel like you need to get your money's worth, even though you paid nothing. So I feel like I need to be doing more. This is one of those awkward streams where, like I said, I could have jammed this into another stream, like for the actual like generative AI stuff, but I didn't want to take away from that. And this was just long enough that I thought, I'll go ahead and do this. All right, so we need all sections equals parsed wikitext dot get sections levels equals 2. All right, so for section in all sections, if string section dot starts with reception, then reception section equals section, and then I'm going to call this review text. Review text equals reception section dot strip code. So again, we want to get rid of that. We want to get rid of this little box over here. That's what we're doing right here. So strip code. All right, so that's basically it. And then the only other thing that we're going to do, like I said, we are instantiating a list up here. So we are going to append stuff to this list. So let's go ahead and do vg reviews.append, and we're going to append another list of our game name and our review text. All right. Now, if I didn't... I don't know why that happens sometimes. Okay, so let's go ahead and review. All right, run this again. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Oh, no. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is going to probably take about 40 seconds to run here. And so what this is going to produce here in the end is just this list of VG reviews that we can simply turn into a pandas data frame and export out of here, and then we'll be done. All right, so yeah. So while we're waiting, anybody doing anything fun this weekend? I'm going to see Oppenheimer, like I said. Probably won't see the Barbie movie, at least in theaters. Yeah, why is... Oh, it's because I got my mouse over that. All right, well, there's no way to fast forward this. I'm just going to have to wait here a little bit longer. All right, there we go, 36 seconds. That wasn't too bad. So let's go ahead and look at VG reviews. All right, so now we have every single one of our game things here as a big list. Very nice, very nice, very, very, very nice. All right, now the way to transform this into a pandas data frame is pretty easy. What we're going to do is we're going to do df vg reviews equals pd.dataframe. All right, so data is going to be our VG reviews list, and then we are going to set our columns to be game name and review text. Okay, and then let's look at that. All right, and now we're done. That's it. We could save this out as a CFC. Now, so one thing I do want to call out here, I think there might be some sort of bug in here, but I'm honestly not gonna spend any more time trying to figure this out. But if you notice, there's only 45 games in this list. Let me just check to make sure. LAN, DF, BG reviews, 46. My apologies. But if you look at the categories over here, there's 160 on here. So I'm wondering like why some of them didn't show up. So actually, let's out of curiosity, let's just pull one out and see which one didn't work. All right, do we have Star Wars in here? Okay, Star Wars Jedi Survivor is not in here. Why is it not in here? And it could be, my guess is going to be is that its heading is a little bit funky or something. So I don't know. So there's basically some sort of bug in here, and I could probably work this out. And I will maybe on the side, but I'm not gonna bother with that here because you got the gist of how to do this thing here. All right, but now I'm super curious. By the way, this was a great game. I did play this game. Came out right before Zelda. It was fun. It was no Zelda, but it was fun. All right, so let's look at this one. All right, I'm just gonna reuse my code from up here. All right. Oh, okay, there we go. For some reason, there is a space here, so we could account for that somehow. I guess what we could do is, I don't know what the best way to do this would be. I don't know, but there's a way to figure that out. That's not a huge deal, but that's why we're seeing the issue, is because for some reason there's a space here, whereas there's no space with some of these others. Odd, but we could fix that if we wanted to. But I feel like playing Pikmin 4 right now before I go see Oppenheimer. But really, that's it. So I did go ahead and save this into this data directory here. So if we go back to GitHub and you come to my GitHub, so this is why this is kind of an optional live stream, is whenever we actually do like the vector search kind of stuff, you can just go into mine, this GitHub here, and you can just download it yourself, so you don't have to do the same work. And this is the exact same thing that we just pulled down a few seconds ago. So, you know, to be honest, that's really all I have to cover today. Like I'm really just stretching for time now. But I hope you learned something today. Like, so I guess a couple big takeaways here is, you know, Wikipedia is going to be an endless source for our testing in this case. It does not have an official Python client. However, we've made do with this other client, and it's pretty easy to get the sections, just the sections you want. Like OpenAI did some pretty fancy stuff where they actually parsed out every single section in their cookbook notebook. For our purposes, I'm not going to do that, or maybe I will. I don't know. I got to think about that a little bit more. But that's really it for today. So let's go ahead and call it here. Yeah. Thank you for joining this one, and I will see you in the next stream.